Hey y'all, Scott here.
Hey, Scott.
I have molecules. I can admit that. Those molecules form a man with skin who uses it to play Bug. Evil isn't born. But that was. My brain was only ever designed to be
Is that
this,
real?
which means if I want to tolerate using a PC for 30 minutes to discuss PC games on consoles, I must go forth with brain surgery, replacing it with an exact copy.
What is going
Though now,
on?
with the PC game tolerance toggle switched to iffy. The results?
Oh.
Maybe. What's scarier than a serial killer? A serial killer in your house! This is a video game console, a piece of hardware designed first and foremost as a game-playing device. You may be able to do other things on it, but at the end of the day, these products are meant to be plugged into your TV, connected to a controller, and playing games specifically designed for it.
I
Not
like
much can
that.
go wrong here. When using a video game console, the only thing you truly use is your ass. This is the simpleton's method of playing video games. No necessary knowledge on fixing anything, no fear as to if your game
I've
won't
always
run.
wanted to
The
play
only thing you have to
Returnal.
worry about is if Applebee's will be open after this. And because of that, I feel that many console users, myself included, forget an entire world exists beyond this. Ever hear of personal computers?
Oh.
Yeah. Video games on PCs. Yeah, I don't believe in God either. Some people prefer playing video games this way. Some people
I love
also
his
punch
timing.
cats. Now, I have a PC here. Wait, let me get the dust off of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I am primarily a Mac user, which hey, I can play games on here. Uno. There's actually more games than you may expect that release for Mac, but that doesn't really take away how I like my computer to be for productivity and my console for pleasure. But hey, there's reasons some
true.
people prefer gaming on PC. Much like how many say there's some reason people f bugs. A game console's controller only has so many inputs, with thumbsticks offering limited range on where you can go with them, compared to a PC's natural input, the keyboard and mouse. Yo, they got caps lock on this thing? Well, you have like over 100 keys and a mouse that can go damn near anywhere? I mean, move a cursor on screen with your controller. Now with a mouse.
it's
Yeah, it's
loud.
fair to say this control setup has some advantages, at least with certain games. Not sure how much it helps with Wii Fit. So I guess we just have to live with the fact that some games, they're meant to be on PC
Wii Fit with a PC
keyboard and
though?
mouse. And if we want to play them, well, we're just gonna have to log off WikiHow. I'm too busy using my keyboard and mouse, not paying off my loans to play video games with them. I would love to get into PC gaming, believe me.
Yeah?
Was that believable? But I've accepted the fact that PCs and I get along about as well as not me and not PCs. It wouldn't work out. I would love to play The Sims 2 Pets, but I just don't have time to use a keyboard and mouse. Did I say keyboard and mouse? I meant states of matter. PC games on consoles. Dogs in funny suits.
Aww.
Get 'em out of there.
What?
While PC and console gaming can be quite separated at times, numerous titles share the mediums, even if it takes a while. Many
What
console
the
games eventually
heck?
get a PC release, which is oftentimes met with roaring applause. Like you finally unshackled the prisoner. It's about damn time. So of course, you'd expect the same reception when a PC
How does
game
Sims work
spreads
on
its wings to consoles.
console?
The president's been shot. Let's start with a classic,
What?
SimCity, created by the company Maxis. First released on PCs as early as 1989. Create your own city and you too will understand
There's
the life
something
of
about his
government
humor I
officials.
love.
Need more housing. Or a third zoo. SimCity is a game that'll never get old, no matter how many times you boot it up. You'll always find something new to try, with the game actively encouraging you to screw around and watch everything burn sometimes, featuring a toggle to turn on a monster attack, for example. While the PC was always SimCity's home, the series received numerous console editions, with not only the most notable, but the
Dang.
first one releasing it for the Super Nintendo
Oh,
as
yeah,
a
there
launch title in
was.
1991. Published and even
How did that
developed
work?
by Nintendo. Yeah, they nabbed the SimCity license and made the SNES version themselves. They even changed the monster attack to a Bowser one. from
Oh,
Super
that's
Mario Brothers. But this
cute.
is still classic SimCity, and honestly, it may be better than the original on PC.
Wow,
Nintendo
really?
added a ton of charm to the game, with background music everywhere, fun visuals with the character of Dr. Ike coming in to tell you shit's f***ed.
I
They even added a
don't
lot
know
in the
why he
form of
doesn't
new
do that
buildings.
anymore.
This felt like Nintendo had a
Why don't they do
ton
that
of
anymore?
love and admiration towards the original PC game and just really wanted to make a version themselves. But keep in mind, this is on the Super Nintendo and this is a controller.
Yeah.
So instead of just moving the mouse wherever you please, you now have to control a cursor with the D-pad, which isn't nearly as precise.
Toledo.
Oftentimes I find myself overshooting or undershooting where I want to go, and the user interface doesn't feel adapted to the console enough. It still looks and feels like the PC release, and because of that, it can be tricky you to click on specific things or know what some buttons do. And they released a damn mouse for the system a year later. If SimCity didn't use it,
the
think
mouse.
Christ Vegas Stakes did. It isn't too bad without a mouse, though. I think it works fine enough with a controller and doesn't get too frustrating, mainly due to how simple the original SimCity is. However, it does immediately show the problem with bringing some PC games to console. But hey, for an older conversion,
Man, I
this
never
holds up
had the SNES
insanely
mouse.
well and was done with a
That's
ton of
crazy.
care, which bodes well for the other PC to console games. After SimCity, the sky's the limit.
Cement.
The ants are winning. Sim Ant, one of the many follow-ups to SimCity. I mean, they covered all bases. Sim Earth, Sim Life, Sim Farm. It was
The
only a matter of
ant?
time. Death, taxes, ants. In contrast to SimCity on SNES, Ant, plus the other Sim titles, weren't developed or published by Nintendo. This one specifically was actually published by Maxis themselves. I feel that the success behind City on the platform opened the floodgates for all these titles to go all over the place.
what, no
which is
Nintendo
both great
version of
and
Ant?
terrifying. Hey, more people get to play Sim
Instead of
Ant.
ants, Goombas?
Oh God. Sim Ant on SNES is alright. Compared to the original PC version, this one feels a lot more zoomed in and confusing to navigate. It works though, decent version of the
How do you
game on
play
console.
this?
No, you can actually use the Super Nintendo mouse in this one, which is a more than welcome feature. Lacking support for the Super Scope though, not realistic. The problem though, as these games kept getting pumped out on PC, they were getting more and more complex, which worked great on computers, but made console conversions so much more complicated.
Oh.
SimCity continued to get console games throughout the years, but here I have SimCity DS, released in 2007.
I've never
While this
seen
isn't a
that.
direct conversion of a specific
Huh.
title, it just doesn't feel like they put the time in to rethink how SimCity could work on the handheld. Instead, it kind of adapted how it's designed on PCs to the interface of the Nintendo DS.
Huh.
What? It works, it just doesn't feel as optimized for the DS as it could have been. Everything's too small and awkward to select with the stylus pen.
Oh, that's
How
too
everything's shown at an
small.
angle, while true to the PC game, it makes it clunkier and less intuitive to place objects with a stylus since your damn hand's in the way. It seems like it would have been a match made in heaven. The touchscreen can replicate a lot of the precision you get with the mouse. The problem is they didn't make SimCity for the DS. They kind of just threw SimCity on the DS. Consoles just don't seem to be the right fit for any of these types of games, which is why sometimes they'll put out original games based on PC series just for these things. From the Sim series, only for Wii and
Sim
Nintendo DS, we
Animals?
got Sim Animals. Now, why was this not
Never
on
heard
PC?
of this. What?
PETA. It works well with the Wii Remote's pointer, but that just makes me ask why this didn't also release on PC. Hey, sometimes you gotta throw the console users a bone. In this case, it's Beaver Allen. You Windows! But hey, the Sim series has been throwing console users a bone each and every entry. As part of the same Sim franchise as the previously discussed games, The Sims is one of the most successful video game series of all time because people love to use a keyboard and mouse to do weird shit. It's all about creating
Yeah,
your
how does
sim
that
and
work on a
living life,
controller?
customizing your place, getting a job, starting relationships, or none of that. Piss on the floor. Starting with the original Sims, that may have launched on PC, but eventually made its way to consoles 3 years later. The PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox.
That cover art,
Yep.
though.
Here it is, the worst thing. The Sims on console oftentimes isn't bad, but it just isn't fun to control, man. Going from a keyboard and mouse to two thighs and a torso feels like I'm controlling
that-
Sims with a keyboard ball. Every
Big.
action is crammed into the controller, but it's still not enough, and you have to go through all kinds of menus and different screens for action that would just require you to move the mouse and click on PC. Whenever I'd see The Sims on consoles, I'd get excited, but after 30 minutes of trying to make do, I would
That
give up and just try to get
stare.
into nicotine again. It's
Ah,
not
yes,
unplayable
my
by
favorite
any means.
nicotine.
It's just too
In a
clunky for me to
bag.
really have fun playing with a controller. Well, The Sims on console was followed up by The Sims Bustin' Out, a game that was never on PC. This was a console-only joint on
Oh.
PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and N-Gage.
Engage.
The GameCube! So the Sims on PC had loads of expansion packs. And by these, you get more content in your game, like dogs and sex and cats. The Sims Bustin' Out is pretty much a new version of Sims 1, with various features from those expansion packs included, with the biggest feature being the ability to leave your house, which is where the title came from. Okay. moving
touching
on. It's more of the
grass?
same from the last one control-wise, but on the Game Boy Advance, we have an entirely different experience that, honestly, feels a bit better to me. It's not trying to be a consoleized version of a PC game, because it's on the GBA. They just had to flat out make
Oh,
a
yeah,
different
they
thing entirely.
try to make
this
it
is more of an
different.
adventure game with RPG life simulation simulation elements. You can't achieve the level of detail on consoles and PCs, so why even bother? Just make something that works leagues better on the Game Boy
dang,
Advance
the
while retaining
micro.
the character of The Sims. Beautiful. The console version? I mean, if you're gonna play Sims 1 on console, you might as well go the busting out route. There's just more in this one. It's just, every second I play this, I just wish I had a damn mouse. And careful what you wish for, because I got a rat instead. The Herbs Sims in the City was a total console-only spit-off to The Sims. This one focusing on grungy city and apartment living, on box and ferrets. Why this wasn't on PC, I have no damn clue, but it does feel a bit more tailor-made for console.
I'm glad the ferrets have been
While it
dealt
maintains
with.
the tropes of a life simulator, Herbs is a bit more focused on getting to an end point. It's not as open-ended as a normal Sims game. You want to build up your rep across all the districts, and that lust is what drives you through the experience, whereas normal Sims games,
that was a lot of ferret jobs.
This game looks like it tried Monster twice. The Sims 2 on consoles features a new control scheme where we aren't telling our Sims where to go with a cursor, we just control our Sims outright. Scared the shit out of me when I first played. This goes against everything I expect from The Sims, but I will accept it for the sake of my happiness. It's so much more enjoyable to use a controller with a control scheme like this. Plus, they have a story mode, multiplayer. I mean, sure, features have been cut from the PC game. That's generally the case with console versions, but honestly, this is a decent version of Sims 2, regardless of how many changes they made from the original. Such as no expansion packs, you couldn't just buy the Sims 2 Pets expansion for your game, you just had to flat out buy the Sims 2 Pets. Yeah, this was an expansion pack on PC, but on console, it's a standalone release. Controls just like the console version of Sims 2, which is a blessing. It's just taking the gameplay of The Sims 2 and making it more focused on owning pets. Gotta be honest, this one I was getting pretty into. I mean, it's bitch easy to earn money. You just rub the mutt's stomach a bit. That's a new sync right there. And I found the house building and editing controls to be surprisingly intuitive on the GameCube controller. The Sims 2 console lineup is actually pretty well done overall. They even did a console exclusive spin-off, The Sims 2 Castaway, focusing on surviving on a deserted island. It felt like they were improving the state of Sims on console more and more with each new entry. Genuinely, these games, even if they remove some features from the PC versions, work well on a controller. They feel optimized for them. But when The Sims 3 launched on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it's The Sims 3!
Oh.
No, this wasn't supposed to happen! This is pretty much the base PC game on consoles with barely any features removed, which is good because, like I said, the previous versions would cut content, and this is basically the exact same game. But because of that, we lose the direct control we had in The Sims 2, and my god, do I miss it. Sure, pointing and clicking where to go is way more true to how The Sims was always meant to be played, but there's being true to yourself and not changing who you are to conform to society. And then there's just not taking a shower. For God's sakes, take a fucking bath. I liked how this was a bit different from the PC game. Sure, we're missing some features, but they made up for it with enhanced control and some new exclusive content. And I'd much rather take that than this, which is impressive, no doubt. It's more fun. Faithful Sims 3 experience. But this is what I was talking about earlier. This just isn't fun for me to control. Might as well check out the Wii version then. I mean, Wii Remote's pointer can easily replicate
Sims
a mouse.
was on the Wii?
So, of course, in this version, you have direct control of your Sim.
What was that house?
So, the version with a mouse replacement has you controlling your Sims like in The Sims 2 on consoles.
Really?
And the version with a standard controller has you pointing and clicking. We're just doing things that make sense today. I guess the pointer controls plus the direct control option would make the Wii release the best of the bunch, but it is on the Wii.
Did the video freeze or? Oh.
So yeah, you get better control for worse performance. Maybe the DS version, well, god damn it. Now, The Sims 4 was basically a one-to-one conversion. You can get the same expansion packs from the PC on consoles for the first time ever.
Yeah, isn't this going free to play?
The Sims 3 still did the standalone Pets release thing. But because of the parity between versions, controls are still clunky point and click here. It's great that console users get the same exact game now.
That sucks about the Wii version,
but what if I don't want that? Well, wrapping up the Sims discussion, we have to mention My Sims.
I remember
the series
this.
Made specifically for the Nintendo systems at the time. Wii and DS. It's kind of like how the Herbs was an attempt to consoleize The Sims, but this time we have custody. My Sims did actually get a release on Windows, but it's very apparent how laser focused this game was on capturing the Wii's audience. The Sims in this game look far more like Mii's than Sims. The gameplay feels much more akin to something like Animal Crossing, with you needing to rebuild your town by crafting and customizing furniture and housing and collecting things through the power of friendship. I don't know, isn't this from the series with the piss meter? Yes, a far more family-friendly friendly, cutesy take on The Sims. Of course, when you whittle the franchise down to anything under a PG rating, you're pretty much left with a furniture builder. That's My Sims! And the game did well enough to get numerous follow-ups. My Sims Kingdom was more of a linear adventure, going from island to island, solving residents' problems. My Sims Party, My Sims Racing, My Sims Agents, My Sims Sky Heroes. That's a stretch. After all these games, I'm not really sure what the My Sims franchise was. Yeah, you can have them on weekends. Because if I'm gonna be spending my time doing anything, it's improving my credibility. Let's try Half-Life, the first game by legendary game developer Valve, released for Windows in 1998. See, I can do more than own Gubble. I can play one of the greatest video games of all time on PC, even nowadays. The world design story,
I remember when Game Grumps played Gubble, though.
To none.
It was
It's wild to play a shooter from this time that isn't a slog to get through or confusing in some way. Half-Life is amazing. If only I could play it 12 feet over there. Well, we're in luck. Just barely. Half-Life came to console in 2001 on the PlayStation 2. My sentence has finished. This was the only console version of Half-Life 1. Never came to the Xbox, GameCube, 360, PS3, PS4, or Xbox One.
Engage.
It was meant to release on the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, that's right. Just like the Grinch. They eventually canceled this version, as by the time it was ready to come out, the Dreamcast wasn't. That's not to say you can't play the game on Dreamcast. A nearly complete build leaked around 2013.
That sucks with the Dreamcast, though.
And play on the console. But the PlayStation 2 version, that legally released. Everybody give it up for doing the right thing. Let's play Half-Life on PlayStation 2 and Loiter.
Oh man, they're gonna cancel each other out.
You know, this game still holds up tremendously well, even on PS2. You obviously get a much nicer and smoother experience on PC, but the console version is no slouch with new multiplayer modes, loads of control options, including mouse and keyboard support. Plus,
That's
just an
cool.
overall fairly stable conversion from the computer. It's shocking to me that this was the only console release Half-Life 1 ever got, when this I consider to be a technical success. Now, just imagine adding a 2 on the original Xbox to the title. Half-Life 2 on the original Xbox, much like how 1 was a console exclusive on PS2.
I thought he was going to talk about the orange box.
Here, though it eventually made its way over to the next generation.
Oh, there we
platforms.
go.
You ever play one of the greatest games of all time, and your first game experience was the Xbox port? Half-Life 2 was a landmark title, and it's still impressive to this day, and how interactive everything is, how smooth it all feels, the incredible design. It feels so natural to play. Like, your first playthrough is your 7th. You feel like a badass in this game. On the PC. On the Xbox, it's still Half-Life 2. Yeah, this feels like the PC version with resolution and frame rate clocked down a few pegs. Sure, that's a good thing.
The friggin'
They
switch
barely
up.
changed or removed anything. And yeah, good on the original Xbox for being able to play this game. That surely was not an easy task in 2005. It's just not the most compelling to look back at least with The Sims busting out on GBA like, damn, this game has Dusty Hog.
That is one seldom used pig.
Nah, this one, it's just Half-Life 2, running somewhat poorly. Me figuring that out is almost as impressive as me being colorblind.
Dusty.
It's more than playable, but obviously there are much better methods of playing the game on console now, plus many of Valve's other games. The Purple Box, a collection not only containing Half-Life 2 and its follow-up Half-Life 2 Episode 1, but 3 games that made their debut as a part of this set: Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal.
Crazy
Seriously,
set,
this is how
though.
these games launched. Still one of the greatest deals in all of gaming. Getting 3
Agreed.
new Valve releases bundled together alongside Half-Life 2.
I remember playing
the
TF2.
good version this time. But
Dang.
since these titles launched day and
That was
date
a lot
on
of
PC
fun.
and Xbox 360, they aren't really PC games that came to console. Though with Valve historically being a PC game developer, it's obvious these are PC games at their heart. That doesn't mean they don't work well on console. I mean, these are all first-person games that map everything perfectly to a controller.
The friggin'
keyboard and
Xbox
mouse is
360
definitely a
controller,
preference
loved it.
rather than a
Loved it.
necessity for these games, which shows how control may not always be the reason for a game sticking to PC. Due to game consoles being a dedicated piece of hardware that's not upgradable like a PC and are meant to last a good few years, more often than not, if you're developing for the latest PlayStation system, you're developing for years old technology. PC games, you can craft your title around the latest and greatest specs out there. I'm sure the market that's able to buy your product may be more limited, but you're not gonna have nearly the amount of restrictions you'd have on consoles. That's why many things not initially made for this screen look like ass. Oh, that's why! The company Crytek was originally known for developing games so graphically intense that PCs were the only known apparatus that could run them. The original Far Cry and Crysis were PC exclusives hell-bent on making me happy. Some of the best looking games of their time. Now, they still look pretty damn good today. But obviously, when you can only sell your game to people with a powerful PC, reality sets in. You gotta swallow your pride and release your game on home consoles. Eventually, we got Far Cry Instincts on the original Xbox and Crysis on anything with buttons. Crysis on Xbox 360 and PS3 is basically just the PC game with one level missing.
How did it
online
run on
multiplayer,
Switch,
and
though?
downgraded graphics to the point where it's not the graphical powerhouse it once was. It still looks fine, but 95% of the reason most were interested in Crysis in 2007 was to ogle. When you take that away, I mean, it's still a great game, but the intense graphics were honestly a big part of what made Crysis Crysis.
Oh,
Far
I
Cry
remember that,
Instincts, on the other
yeah.
hand, this is just a flat-out different game from the PC original. It's based on it, but to ensure it would run on the Xbox, they basically made a new game that got the gist of Far Cry 1. The story's a bit different,
Really?
the level design has been altered to be more console-friendly with less options for the player. It's pretty much just a dumbed-down Far Cry, but this game got a sequel, Instincts Evolution. Yeah, but
Oh.
it's only a sequel to this version, not the original Far Cry 1. Then the sequel got a remake on Wii titled
What?
Far Cry Vengeance. Then Far Cry Instincts Predator was an Xbox 360 version of both Instincts and Evolution, and then Far Cry 2 released.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
I wasn't explaining Far Cry. I was explaining quantum physics.
Far Cry's PC origins are similar to many a series, like The Witcher. Yeah, The Witcher 1 never released on
I'm
anything but
confused.
PC. Was meant to get an Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 edition titled The Witcher Rise of the White Wolf, but that ended up getting canned. It's a shame, because there's nothing about this game that feels like it needs to be a PC game. Eventually, The Witcher 2 released on PC only as well, later on receiving just an Xbox 360 version, and ever since
never
then,
tried
the
out
series
Witcher.
has been multi-platform,
Never tried
with
it
The Witcher
out.
3 launching on damn
Heard
near
3 is
everything.
amazing, though.
Actually anything.
I
Which is definitely a
know,
trend
that's
for many of the
amazing,
most
though.
iconic PC franchises of all time. Just take a look
It's
at the
crazy
Elder Scrolls
how-
and Fallout. Now,
It's crazy
this
how
is a
Witcher
PC
runs on
game.
Switch. Yeah. What?
I think.
Elder Scrolls made the jump with Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind being offered on the original Xbox in 2002, though Fallout didn't get a mainline console release until Fallout 3 in 2008. Prior to that, the only
That's
taste we ever got was
amazing.
Fallout Brotherhood of Steel on Xbox and PlayStation 2. Not Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel on PC, released just 2 years before. No. This is just Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, and it's just as much of a Fallout game as Beat Saber. So the original Fallout games were top-down RPGs. They may be incredibly difficult for a newcomer to approach these days, but there's still a lot to appreciate here. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is also top-down. This is such a mindless and misguided title. This isn't Fallout. This is a beat-em-up with some RPG elements with a world and dialogue options kinda like Fallout. I mean, I can't blame for not putting the traditional Fallouts on console. Look at this. But this is an example of trying too hard to make a game for a console audience. Those console players don't want to think unlike the PC guys. Let's finally bring Fallout to consoles and just make it Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. What, was this created out of a threat? Pretty embarrassing when the SNES versions of PC games are more faithful. The Super Nintendo was apparently the primo spot for people who didn't have PCs to play PC games. What did they do their taxes on?
They didn't.
I mean, it was amongst the most powerful systems of its generation and the most popular to boot, so those only made all the sense in the world. Maybe if they named it something else, even more PC games would come
Aw,
to it.
thank
As
you.
it stands, we got the grandfathers of the modern first-person shooter, Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. Well, PowerPoints of them. And the fact these work as well as they do is a bit of a miracle and set the standard for future ports.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
There's the standard.
These games are completely playable, yet far from ideal, with horrible frame rates and sluggish control. Wolfenstein 3D got butchered by the censors.
Really cleaned it up. It's like, damn, this is like a
Dang, this is so
Pixar movie
blurry.
Both of these games have gotten
pixelated,
numerous
too
re-releases
pixelated.
since, more so with Doom. It's been made available for most things now. Why, is this the game that got spread everywhere? I mean, obviously, it's Doom. It's one of the most iconic and beloved PC games of all time, and being a first-person shooter using primitive 3D and numerous 2D elements does make it one of the easiest of the whole genre to make available elsewhere. But that just makes me question the amount of differences between these versions. Most of the console ports of Doom are missing levels. They may be shortened or out of order, or
Ooh.
missing music, or have completely new features. It's always up in the air with Doom ports. They're all different, but that's kind of the beauty of it all. Would you really
Oh,
want
what
all the
version was
versions of Doom to
that?
be picture perfect, the exact
was so
same as the PC
slow.
version? Because even if they were, you just move on to the version of Doom on the next console you'd own and leave these ones to irrelevancy. The differences between these ports, no matter how negative they are, keep these games alive in the form of talking points. Sure, you have no reason to play Doom on the Sega Saturn anymore, but at least if you did, you'd have something to say about it.
Well, that stunk.
But if you can pull Wolfenstein and Doom on a Super Nintendo of all things, damn it, why not Civilization?
What about the N gauge?
Why not do hard drugs?
Civ has always been one of my favorite Mac game series. Every mainline game's released on Mac. I said nothing wrong, hee-haw. A strategy game about running a civilization from the very start, discovering new land or other civilizations, deciding whether or not to declare war on them or team up, figuring out how to utilize your resources, what to research. It seems very overwhelming and complex at first, but once you start playing, it all makes perfect sense.
I never tried Civ. I don't know. Couldn't
you can easily lose hours to just one play session.
I've heard it's fun though.
SimCity, you can either chip away at the same save file for months or always start up a new game, and it'll be an entirely different experience. And it shocked me how many games appeared on consoles, starting with the original SNES. Honestly, this one has loads of SimCity energy. They added tons of character to this version, music, graphical touch-up. The original Civilization is, for lack of better words, fucking creepy. This ain't too bad. In fact, you could say this is preferable to the original PC version in many ways. But moving forward in time to Civilization 6 on Nintendo Switch, I don't know, man. This just isn't fun for me. Maybe playing during the fire had something to do with it, but I doubt it. Civ just has so much more going on with the
fire
user
makes
interface
it fun.
Not that it's super complicated, rather, it just feels far more clunky mapping all these commands to a controller. And not that it's bad, this is just my opinion. I've seen numerous people adapt to the controls and find them to be incredibly intuitive. It's just not for me personally. Well, maybe Civilization Revolution is for me then.
Just like Air!
This was a console-only spin-off of the series on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and plays very similarly, but is more dumbed down and simplified for a smoother experience with a controller on a TV.
For me?
It works pretty well here, though obviously the series is still best experienced on PC in my opinion. The Revolution did get a DS and mobile release, and with a touchscreen, it seems like a match made in heaven, which really makes you think, what about a Wii version? That pointer would do wonders for the experience, and while it was in the works, it ended up getting canceled due to the amount of resources it would have taken to craft a lower-end version of a game made for HD consoles. That's a shame, because this control setup would have been amazing.
True.
It really makes you think why more PC games didn't come to the system.
But then we end up with a lot of shovelware.
Out of fear.
Here we have Back to the Future the game on Wii, an older episodic Telltale point-and-click adventure game brought over to Wii and PlayStation 3, which was oddly a trend for that company. Some of their other PC releases would eventually go there, but not Xbox 360, or Wii and Xbox 360, but not PlayStation 3, or just PlayStation 3, or just Xbox 360. Back to the Future eventually got an anniversary edition, which finally put it out on 360 alongside PS4 and Xbox One, so, you know, I can finally sleep. But I assume this would be best on Wii due to the pointer controls. What I got was a game that freaks out when a new color is introduced on screen. It always does that when purple happens. This game works, but it freezes for a few seconds
just
when
like
you fundamentally
The Sims.
do anything. And it's not like it's a fast-paced game where this really matters. Like, no, you're just clicking on things in the environment and selecting dialogue options. But it just makes the whole experience feel sluggish. Like, why can't this be smooth? Like Spy Fox.
Is it?
If the Wii can run this, there's no excuse.
I mean, this is a classic edutainment point and click from the 90s. This alongside the others like Freddy Fish, Pajama Sam, Putt Putt. They may not be everybody's first pick for a PC game to bring to console, but their simplicity makes them so easy to put on systems like the Wii or Nintendo Switch that you might as well. These are great for kids and created such fun memories for players back in the day, much like the Oregon Trail.
The best children's
One of the
game.
greatest PC games of all time. Has barely been ported to home consoles outside of a few very specific instances, including a release on the Wii in 2011. Oh man, I can't wait to learn about the struggling pioneer life by strategizing what to buy, when to hunt, and where to go.
This isn't the struggling pioneer life. This just stinks.
Yeah, this really feels like they over-engineered the Oregon Trail, trying to make it impressive and modern, more of an actual game.
I've never seen
the original version is more intuitive and fun than this. That game was so quick and easy to jump into and play. This one is just a slog. And it's like, this should have been perfect. Some game systems just have the perfect interface for these types of games. But nope, put StarCraft on the Nintendo 64.
What?
Jesus, have you ever heard of foreplay?
Like, sure, it works. StarCraft made the transition as good as it could here, but Why? It's just confusing. This is the only console port the StarCraft series ever received. It's pretty good for what it is, but like, what the hell? Warcraft is in the same boat. The second game is the only one that ever came to consoles, just
What?
the Sega Saturn and PlayStation. I just find it confusing. They try once and then give up. Why try once instead of not at all, or at least try one more time? Because while these Blizzard developed series barely ever came to consoles, Diablo has consistently, with all the main entries receiving ports. I guess it makes sense, as Diablo being an action RPG hack and
tried
slash
3 a bit.
translates
It was
pretty
fun.
smoothly over to a controller. But Blizzard has always been a PC-oriented company, so much so that their biggest game of all time, World of Warcraft, was always just a PC game. Most of these games were simply just designed with that keyboard and mouse setup. Bringing them over to consoles, yeah, it'll work, but it's just not the same. Even nowadays,
Pretty
they seem to be
much.
putting less effort into revamping user interfaces for consoles and just putting the game as you know it on there, like Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Data cap?
However,
I just
with
saw
the
data
amount of
caps,
games I've
ugh.
talked about making an oddball jump to consoles, many of the most iconic series of all time began
Tetris
as
effect.
PC-only titles. Tetris, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Grand Theft Auto, all games that launched as PC exclusives. Hell, a series like Grand Theft Auto
Should I play the
abandoned its
definitive
lineage
edition?
with console versions launching first in most instances these days. It shows how releasing on PC is oftentimes easier for some games to start off on, even if they end up working better on consoles in the end. So while many titles can stumble in the transition, that transition is necessary for a franchise's evolution. Even if it controls or looks worse, trying new things is how growth occurs.
Maybe I should do the same. I've had fun playing these PC games, and their console counterparts, oftentimes, well, worse, are perfectly playable enough. There's so much more to gaming than just the latest Nintendo thing. I feel like I've severely limited my options and my growth as a human being by just assuming I wouldn't like these games. And there's so many more PC games on console that I haven't taken a look at or even
Yeah.
mentioned. Maybe someday. But for now, I think I really just need to look at that PC over there and give the biggest nod of my life saying, yes,
Oh.
I will relapse.
I know that bone cracking sound effect anywhere. Good video, good video. I hope he comes back to do the other stuff too. Freaking love Scott.